Hey Doom Nation, it's Gags here, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Two Doom Men. If you like what we are about, help us spread the message by subscribing to our channels and sharing the show with your friends. That's the best way we can get around big tech's algorithms. You can also help support the work we do by subscribing to our Patreon account at patreon.com/2doommen, or by going to linktree.com/2doommen. That will bring you to everywhere our show has a presence. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the show.
This country is doomed. It is doomed.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Doom Nation, what's up? We are back, but we are not together. Skaggs is over in the shack in the back, and your captain is obviously in the captain's quarters. What's up, Doom Nation? It's another rainy January night in this awesome summer full of rain. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. The button is right there at the bottom right-hand corner. Just click it. Click it. We'll have you on the show. Could always happen. Check out at Casey Baker on Instagram. He just got a cool new mug, a Two Doom Men podcast mug. Skaggs, you want to say hello? Tell everybody what we're talking about today.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Again, we are remote today. We were doing some stuff with 990, and I figured let me get the captain on here and get some extra work out of him, record another episode. There's some interesting stuff going on in the world, and we kind of wanted to focus today on two specific topics, which is one of them is going to be about Haiti and the assassination of their president, and the other one is going to be about Cuba and the recent protests going on there. So those are going to be our two main political topiks today. I'll throw it back to you, Chris.
And also, so we were just saying how we were on the other end talking to the guys over at 990 WBOB. And we have something awesome that we were working on. We've briefly mentioned this in the past before. It is F-Bomb Friday. So basically, F-Bomb Friday is going to be hosted by 990 WBOB on July 30th. We are raising money for cancer. There is a GoFundMe page. There is a Fundly page. Everybody and anybody can donate. It just doesn't have, it could be from now up until July 30th. A little bit about the F-Bomb Friday. Let's see. It's a fruitful charity. F-Bomb Friday, the Rhode Island-based digital media outlet, will break out the swear jar in an effort to help fight cancer. Joanne M. Sullivan Memorial Fund was founded in 2008 by Walter Patrick and Megan Sullivan in memory and honor of Joanne, who had recently passed away from a long but inspiring battle with cancer. In 10 years, we have donated over $475,000, and with the support of the Jimmy Fund Golf and Dana Faber, we will continue to do so. So, Doom Nation, we need your help. We want to raise some money for cancer. Let's see how much we could raise for 990 WBOB. It'd be a big help. We'll be posting about this more, so there'll be more information to come.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, on July 30th, I believe it is, we'll be live on 990 WBOB. I think we're going to be drinking some beers and whatnot. So it's for a good cause. Have some fun. Definitely check it out at their website, 990WBOB.com.
Awesome.
So, all right, let's break open these two topics here we got, and let's start off in the island nation of Haiti, which is a very interesting place historically, definitely in terms of its relationship with the United States. And I know you're going to go wild probably here with conspiracy theories, because this is a conspiracy-prone story. But last week, a bunch of guys showed up at the president's house, and they shot him, and they killed him, sadly. There was a lot of crazy videos on YouTube, on Twitter, of this kind of like hit squad that shows up. Some of them were speaking Spanish, some of them were speaking English, and two of the gentlemen arrested that were in this hit squad were claiming to be DEA agents. So that's interesting. What are you thinking?
Oh boy.
Yep.
Funny enough, I didn't even really bring this like up to you because I just figured like this would be something we would wash over. I didn't figure you were going to jump into it. The conspiracy theories just write themselves here.
That's why I want to talk about this, because I know that's your forte.
Yeah, I don't listen. The Clinton Foundation and the Clintons have had a strange long history with Haiti, a very shady history. There's rumor, I don't know exactly how true it was, but Haiti was refusing the vaccine, and now their president's dead. There's been two other nations that were refusing the vaccine, and both their presidents died.
Yeah, that's funny, because I was looking into that earlier, and you're right. I think like 3 of the nations in the world that
Tanzania was one of them.
I mean, one of the guys did die from just a straight up heart attack. Could be coincidence, but it is interesting. It's definitely one of those weird occurrences that has happened. That all 3 presidents of all 3 countries that refused the vaccine are dead.
My stance on this, though, and I'm sure it ain't gonna go over well with the people at YouTube, is we killed him. America killed this guy, because just a day ago or two recently, Jen Potsky, whatever her name is, said that we are now going to be sending vaccines to the nation of Haiti.
Yes.
Your president was just assassinated. We're obviously not allowed to ask questions about it, because we can't ask anything under the Nazi administration. I mean, the Biden administration. And here's a nation or a country that didn't want the vaccine. The president died. And the way this administration shows their gratitude and they're standing in solidarity with this nation that just lost their president is by sending them vaccines. It just has nefarious all over. It's weird.
It's odd. My whole perspective, or just what makes it odd, I don't know. I don't have any inside information. I did a little digging, but not much. We had an episode where we talked about the thousands of coups that the United States has led in South America. And I mean, it is literally thousands. Remember that episode? And this whole situation just sounds suspicious. Like I said at the beginning, Haiti has always had a weird relationship with the United States. Haiti is a nation that the slaves that were there, I'm not an expert in Haitian history, but I'm pretty sure the slaves that were there overthrew the colonial powers and set up their own society. Instead of like in America, the colonists overthrew the colonial power and set up their own society. Imagine if the slaves had overthrown everybody in America and set up their own society. So historically, the colonial powers have always been trying to kind of get back at Haiti for losing their grip on it. Yeah. And they've always had this weird relationship with America and the colonial powers. What's weird about this is, the president, obviously it's sad. He gets killed, shot. And the rest of the government after immediately is asking the United States for, FBI help, investigation. They made a comment about sending some troops there to try to secure, like the unrest in the country. And I mean, it's just very suspicious. We have, these guys who were involved in the actual killing says they worked with the DEA. They killed the president.
From what sorry to interrupt you. From what I was reading, it keeps popping up that these were law enforcement or DEA informatives.
Yes, I have. I have an article here. Actually, I'll read a little bit of it on NBC News, and it says that one of the suspects arrested said that let's see here. It's from the Miami Herald. It says the suspect was arrested over 20 years ago for allegedly providing false information for U.S. passport applications. At times, one of the suspects of the assassination was a confidential source to the DEA. Following the assassination, the suspect reached out to his contacts in the DEA The DEA, in a statement to NBC News, said a DEA official assigned to Haiti urged the suspect to surrender to local authorities, and along with the U.S. State Department official, provided info to the Haitian government that assisted in the surrender and arrest of the suspect and one other individual. So this guy who's saying he worked with the DEA was apparently an informant for the DEA, and he actually reached out to the DEA after they killed the president of Haiti, and the DEA, etc., the State Department advised him, turn yourself in, gave the information to the Haitian government to arrest him, and now he's in custody.
So I already have a problem with all of this, with every bit of it. So they arrested okay, let me backtrack. He is a suspect, and that's why he turned himself in. Is it proven that he's the guy who killed the president?
Well, you have to have a trial, etc.
Right, okay.
I don't know how strong the investigation and trial.
You want a clear-cut picture of propaganda. You want to throw the word conspiracy around. Fine. This was the president of Haiti. He was assassinated. People broke into this man's house and killed him, and I believe his wife.
She survived, I believe. She's just very injured because she was hit.
Okay. And we caught the guy. Well, they caught the guy. They caught the suspect. He turned himself in. And America's big talking point, and the White House's talking point, and the media's talking point is how we're going to send them more vaccines. No one's asking the one big important question. Why did you kill the president of Haiti?
I agree. That seems to be lacking in most of the news I've read about this situation.
Who, what, where, when, why?
I mean,
vaccines.
Honestly, the who, what, where, when, why points to the United States government in some manner or another.
And that's why we're not going to hear anything about it. I mean, listen, the big so when JFK was assassinated and then they killed Lee Harvey Oswald, you didn't get the closure of the why. You know what I mean?
Right. You couldn't get him on the stand and ask him questions and hear what he had to say, really.
And now we're still not asking why. You know what I mean? It's not even a topic of discussion. Why?
No, it really isn't. No.
This is the biggest topic in this story, but vaccines are taking center stage.
Right. It's not only vaccines, dude. What I was trying to say earlier was, he's been assassinated, and the leftover government is asking the United States to send military, to send investigators there. They were also asking the United Nations to send support. I mean,
who knows?
It smells like a coup. We're going to send they haven't said
smells like a New World Order takeover once the UN's involved.
And let's be real. The United States has overthrown multiple governments in South America over the years, thousands, like I said at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it's just suspicious. Do I have any proof? No. Are we speculating?
No
yes.
proof. Yeah.
But like you said, you're making a great point.
Also the other thing that I want to bring up on this is, I didn't do too much research because, like I said, I didn't know you were really going to get gung-ho about this topic. But there's always, once he died, Hillary Clinton started trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
So the Clinton Foundation, whenever Haiti had that horrendous hurricane that destroyed the island.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. I don't know the complete logistics of what happened, but basically all the money that everyone donated to the Clinton Foundation that was supposed to go to Haiti went to paying for like Chelsea Clinton's wedding and, paying off the executives. And they only got a small portion. They never got any of the supplies. I won't even get into, child sex trafficking that took place in Haiti during the hurricane and stuff like that. There was rumor that the Haitian president was working with people on the, about the wrongdoings of the Clinton Foundation. Now, who would he be working with? Maybe law enforcement informatives from America?
That's a good point.
Yeah. If you don't think somebody would quickly run it up the chain that the president of Haiti just gave you, I need to talk to somebody in the CIA, the FBI, whatever, and here's hardcore evidence, proof, pictures, videos, emails, whatever, that the Clinton Foundation, I'm not saying they did, because once again, I don't have the proof, funneled money, transfer powers, stole money, whatever, from the Haitians. And they had this solid proof that would look really bad on Hillary and the Clinton Foundation. And the Clintons just added another one to the body count.
Hey, I think people are, it seems like anytime anyone dies now, people automatically assume it has something to do with Hillary. We saw it when John McAfee killed himself. Hillary is forever now. Just people are mad sus of Hillary, and rightfully so. She's one of the most hated politicians on the planet.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get attached to this. Your name doesn't get attached to things like this if there isn't some type of evidence pointed your way. The anniversary of Seth Rich just passed, and there was FBI involvement in that. The guy Seth Rich is the guy who broke the story on Clinton's emails.
Right.
He was shot 2 times in the back of the head in Washington, D.C., and they said it was a botched robbery, yet he had all his money on him. He had his gold watch on him. He had his Louis shoes and all. They didn't steal nothing. The guy got executed in the middle of Washington.
Who else actually killed himself as well? The gentleman who broke the story about Bill and Loretta Lynch meeting on the tarmac.
Yeah.
Remember that story?
Yeah.
That guy, a few years later now, he killed himself as well.
Yeah.
Years later after he broke the story. But, a lot of suicides, man. Is it possible these people just killed themselves? Maybe, but
so many pictures of Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton and of underage girls with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton in the same picture.
One of our old episodes, we posted some of those pictures, I think.
Yeah.
That'll probably be the next one to get kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah. It's the suspicions lead to a path. There's a thread that needs to be pulled, and every time it gets pulled, it leads to a noose. There's rumor that,
metaphorically speaking,
there's rumors that John McAfee created, what's the name of his antivirus?
McAfee. Yeah, I got it on my computer right here. McAfee antivirus. Yeah.
Yes. So there's rumors that the McAfee company gave computers with this virus protection to everybody in Congress, and McAfee had a back door to that's the rumor. That's the conspiracy of what McAfee has to leverage his life against the political elite, that he gave Hillary Clinton and her team, he gave CIA officials and FBI officials and members of Congress laptops because they're selfish and they take all this free stuff and they think they have this great firewall, but the entire time McAfee had a back door to everything they were doing.
Man,
on it. He even admitted to it, saying, "You don't think I'd make a back door for myself?" I'm pretty sure there's interviews where he almost admits to saying, like, "Yeah, of course I have full control over everything I gave to everybody."
Yeah, his
speculation. I don't have proof,
but in general, his suicide is very suspicious. He was a big podcaster, actually went on a lot of podcasts and things like that, and had numerous times say, if I get suicided, it wasn't me. I'm completely fine. Although I'm in jail. His wife, Janice, today actually put out his suicide note.
Yeah, you posted
that she was provided with. And I'll just read her tweet. This is from Janice McAfee. She goes, "Here is the alleged suicide note found in John's pocket. This note does not sound anything like someone who has no hope and is contemplating ending their life. This note sounds like one of John's tweets." I mean, some chicken scratch in here. You want me to read? I'll read some. He goes,
I couldn't make heads or tails of it, so rattle off a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird. He goes, "I am a phantom parasite in the present moment. I used it to attain my own ends instead of fully living it. I want to control my future, which does not exist." He scratches a lot out. "Through which mere ashes of memory. Now," that's it. The rest is
illegible.
Scratched out. Very dark, however, for what's on there.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. BS. The guy literally
the whole thing could be
tattooed
fabricated
on his arm, whacked. He goes, "I would never kill myself. I like it here. I have friends. The food's good. He was warning people time and time again that I'm not going to kill myself. And then all of a sudden kills himself. I'm not going to be sheep. I'm not going to believe it. I'm
No, I don't
sorry.
believe it at all.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're a sheep by any means. I'm just saying, what a BS story. I'm going to take him at his word. He didn't make it to my Bill Gates list of just people I no longer trust.
Yeah,
I actually forgot about him. I remember the last time I saw him, he was on that yacht in a room filled with tinfoil.
Bill Gates.
No, John McAfee. I really forgot about him. He fell off the radar in my life for years.
It's interesting for me because I had been following him, just one of these people that are interesting that I follow on Twitter and whatever. And I just from me personally following him, I know he was just over the years just very critical of the establishment, very outspoken. Like I said, he did a lot of podcasts. He wasn't afraid to say crazy shit. So I don't know. So
the one thing that stood out to me that I heard from him was in an interview, and he completely raked the media over the coals. He's like, I don't like Trump. He's like, but I like what Trump does. He's like, Trump uses Twitter. He cuts through all the bullshit. He goes, every form of media is just filled with propaganda. You know as good as I know, speaking as John McAfee, you know as good as I know that we could sit here and have an hour-long conversation, a 2-hour-long conversation. You could interview me on everything, but you're only going to use what you want to use. You're only going to make the story look the way you want it to look. He goes, Trump using Twitter is the real reason they hate his tweets, because he cuts through the BS and he says exactly what needs to be said. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, CBS, they can't switch that interview around to make it the story they want it to be.
No, but all his tweets still did drive the entire country crazy.
Oh, well, I mean,
they still did. They still found a way. They twisted every tweet.
Yeah. Well, they had to work overtime on it.
Yeah.
They
had the best ratings they ever did.
Yeah. McAfee just really found it interesting that this was a unique idea to cut through all the BS.
Yeah, it was.
It's really just my comment on that.
It was. All right. That was good. I did want to talk about McAfee, but I didn't think we really got a chance to.
We never did. And, he fell off as quickly as he popped back onto the radar. And there's been rumor in like the little conspiracy pages that I follow that his kill switch went off. I really don't think so. I was very interested, in seeing the kill switch happen. There is one good, I don't discredit this theory, but someone made the theory that why would you have your kill switch go off instantly when they're ready for it? If you were a suspect and you had this information and you made a kill switch, and tomorrow's what, July 13th, 14th, whatever, and you got killed on the 13th, why would you release your kill switch on the 14th when they could shut it down quickly? Everybody's looking for it. Everybody's ready for it. Not just, conspiracy theorists, but like CIA, Facebook, YouTube, Google, they're all ready for it. Wait 2-3 months. I said to somebody the other day, do you remember that 2020 started off with Australia on fire and we were going to go to World War III with Iran because we killed that terrorist? No, I don't remember that. Yeah, that's how fast the news cycle works. In a week or two, a month or so, we have a podcast that we talk about current events. We never even got around to John McAfee. In a month, people are going to go, John who? And that's when you drop the kill switch. I can't promise it. It's one of those, Q tomorrow things. The world's going to be a better place crap. But
hey, when he died, this is something we didn't mention. When he died, about an hour, 2 hours after he died, his Instagram page posted the letter Q on his page. And within a half an hour to 45 minutes, his Instagram page was completely shut down after that. That's suspicious in itself. Maybe let's speculate. Maybe he did kill himself, right? And he's just a troll and he's trying to troll everybody in his death. And this was all planned all along. Or maybe there's more to it, to the conspiracy. Maybe he's involved. Who knows? I don't know. It's just
I'll throw another conspiracy.
Just an interesting scenario.
Yeah, I'll throw another conspiracy out there. You know how Trump always would say, we got everything. We caught you all. We have it all.
Yeah, vaguely.
Okay.
Meaningless statements, but go ahead.
No, fine, meaningless. But what if McAfee did collect everything through his backdoor antivirus, software on all these elites and got all this information. And Trump does have the kill switch. We have it all. We caught you. We have everything. This would be, if let's take the craziness out of this, this would be a way to link. Here is a antivirus software engineer who gave members of Congress laptops that he had a backdoor to. Here is a wild, crazy man saying, we caught you. We got it all. It could be the link. I'm not saying it is. It's still far-fetched, but who knows?
Maybe,
who knows who has the kill switch?
If it is, let's see. I'll be keeping an eye out on it. I still have an eye out on. I'm following his wife on Twitter. I'm keeping an eye on it. So if there's more to it, I hope it does come out. I don't hope it's not.
It's more suspicious activity.
I hope it's not one of those tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it's always going to be tomorrow, pal. That's
All right. Let's get back. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here. What we're going to talk about
Cuba
tonight, which is the island nation of Cuba, which is another big stuff going on in the Caribbean this past week.
Mm-hmm.
And as almost everybody, I'm sure, is aware, the United States and Cuba have an extremely unique relationship and scenario. And this was funny because this was now Tuesday. On Sunday, protests erupted in Cuba out of nowhere. And if you're not familiar, you ain't allowed to protest in Cuba. It's against the law. It's a communist country. And let's just start off here with my funniest reaction to this was how on Twitter and the United States media, the immediate reaction to the people protesting in the streets in Cuba was that they were protesting because they wanted vaccines or they weren't getting enough vaccines. And what was the first thing we talked about in this? Haiti and how we're giving them vaccines after their president was murdered.
Refusing them.
And now here's another story of protests going on in Cuba. And the first thing the media comes up with is that it's about vaccines and that they want more vaccines. It seems like vaccines have replaced Trump as the buzzword or the thing the media wants to talk about and press and push, because maybe that gets a lot of coverage. I don't know. But that was pretty funny. What were your thoughts on that?
Excuse me. Sorry. Propaganda 101. We now have a history with the media knowing that the media will jump on any story and give it the headlines they want before the story unfolds. The whole Trump, tear gassing protesters to go. Fake. What's the park across the street from the White House?
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He went to go to the church.
Yes.
He went. They never gave that order. Came out a year or so later.
So now a year later, they have to retract these statements.
Oh, I don't know. Did they actually retract them? I don't think they even do that, dude.
Well, they ran it back, but and then also the FBI just retracted their statement about the 1-6 insurrectionists who had a Lego set of the Capitol, and that's what they used to plan their break-in. They ran that back, but the media ran with an FBI Lego story. So there is no bounds that the media won't go. They don't know nothing about Cuba, and right away it's about vaccines. It is so odd that they have to make it about vaccines. They don't care what the story is. They just want to push.
What's interesting,
they just want to push big farm advertisement.
They did. And what happened was that fell apart real quick because on Twitter and on social media, people down there on the ground in the protests were posting videos of what people were saying. Mm-hmm. And yeah, some of it does have to do with healthcare and, like the coronavirus and lack of stuff. I don't know how that's possible, though, in a country that has, complete government funded, healthcare
Medicaid for all,
first of all. So, but put that aside. So, on the videos, people are chanting "Libertad, libertad, freedom." It was not just about medical, emergencies. They're living under a communist regime, and they don't want to be anymore. They want to get out of that. They want freedom. You don't scream freedom in the streets if you don't want freedom. Yeah. You saw American flags being waved there in Cuba,
which is great.
Which is funny and ironic because the Cubans are waving the American flag around as a symbol of freedom. And in America, we had, journalists, people over the 4th of July saying that the American flag is racist. It's white nationalist.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Maxine Waters,
Yeah.
who went on her entire tirade, and then all the leaders of the BLM move. I don't understand how hating the American flag has anything to do with helping Black communities, but a couple of BLM chapter leaders. But Maxine Waters went on a nice little tirade about how she hates the American flag, which was fun. Also, it's funny how every time another country wants to be liberated, their symbol is the American flag. Hong Kong. Remember all the protests in Hong Kong that got shut down real quick at the beginning of COVID?
I remember. Yeah, because the American flag is a symbol of liberty and freedom
and justice for all.
It's a piece of cloth at the end of the day, right? So it is what you make of it, and what I make of it is that symbol. And if you want to make of it, that it's evil, then I guess good for you. But that's not what people around the world think. Yeah. So now we're in day 2 after this, right? So let me read a little article here because I wanted to get an update on what's been going on after Sunday's protests. So this is actually from CNN, unfortunately. And it says that anti-government activists in Cuba say that more than 100 people have been arrested or missing on the island following widespread protests on Sunday. The movement San Isidro, which advocates for greater artistic expression in Cuba, published a list of activists that it said were believed to have been detained by authorities. Blah, 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 blah. Long story short, this protest happened on Sunday. Things have calmed down quite rapidly. Why? Because the communist regime just fucking disappeared everybody over the next day or so. I shared a funny Babylon Bee picture, and it's what did the Babylon Bee say before? I'll get it up here.
Oh, they were afraid how it was going to represent communism, what they're pushing.
It says, it's from the Babylon Bee, and it says, Cuban communism may not be so bad since its critics have seemingly disappeared overnight.
Yep.
So Babylon Bee is always on point. This was, in general, this whole Cuba scenario was a good expose, referendum, maybe for not so much for the Cuban people, but for Americans as well. And there was a lot of interesting tweets, which I'm going to go into here. And so let's just start with one I found very interesting. This was from the New York Times. And the New York Times was tweeting about the protests in Cuba. And the tweet goes, shouting freedom and other anti-government slogans. Hundreds of Cubans took to the streets in cities around the country on Sunday to protest food and medicine shortages in a remarkable eruption of discontent not only seen in 30 years. This tweet set off a shitstorm of criticism.
As it should.
Talking, right? So first of all, I'm going to start off with the first line took a lot of conservative and right-wing criticism of people saying freedom. They're saying freedom is an anti-government slogan. And this is where I'm going to criticize conservatives because they're so out of touch and they've been so indoctrinated by the state that they don't realize that this statement was actually correct by the New York Times, right? Freedom is anti-government, especially in a communist country, right? I don't think that the New York Times even meant it that way. I think it was just, I think they meant it. So
you think they meant it the way conservatives got mad at it?
Right.
Okay.
But conservatives are their blind hatred of the New York Times keeps them from being able to think clearly. Right. Especially, and obviously in a communist country, the word freedom, the thought freedom is anti-government. There's a reason why these people were screaming the word freedom in the streets, libertà, right? And it is even more important in the United States of America. And it is even more of an anti-government word in the United States of America. And why is that? Because I wrote it on our Instagram page. You could look at the Declaration of Independence, the very first line, and it says about how our freedoms are not given to us by a king, a government, a person, anybody. They are inherently natural characteristics of human beings. We are free, and our freedom comes from inherently natural rights, not King George, not Fidel Castro, not the federal government of the United States. None of those
Joe
people
Biden
give you your freedom or even guarantee you your freedom. It is inherently part of being a human being. That is what's so beautiful about America. The founding first document of it states we are free because human beings are free naturally.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now that you kind of like sat back and explained like freedom and anti-government slurs, it kind of makes a little bit more sense that, that towards the Cuban government is that is an anti-government slur. To any form of overreaching government, it's an anti-government slur. I just think the landscape is so rocky right now that, you know, nobody, especially conservatives, wouldn't be surprised to find out that the New York Times believes freedom is anti-government. We're in a very weird time. The media has set a very bad tone over the past few years. You know, they've really done it to themselves to get the rise out of conservatives the way they did. The way you said it is explained much better, where you kind of step back and you're like, oh, yeah, you're kind of right. But the media has set this piss poor tone for years now. And especially what's going on with this, you know, fantastic administration, you know, freedom and anti-government in the same sentence is going to raise a few eyebrows. It's going to raise some blood pressure.
Right. Well, you know, if you say that you're anti-government, you're going to be labeled domestic terrorist.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we covered that, right? And didn't it literally say that exactly in that document? The, you know, plan to counter domestic terrorism.
Exactly.
Whatever. It literally said anyone exposing anti-government thoughts or ideologies or whatever will be considered domestic terrorists. So, to go back to this. Go ahead.
Let me. This administration is talking about domestic terrorists is anybody who is anti-government. You know, we're now hearing about the door-to-door vaccine stuff. We're now hearing about the, you know, them reading your SMS text messages for medical misinformation and stuff. This administration is not cultivating a good idea of freedom.
Right, an open and free society. No, they're putting more controls and more narrative control on everybody and trying to tell you what to do. Right.
Exactly. We're not allowed to question the election. We're not allowed to question the pandemic. We're not allowed to question the vaccine. You know, you're pushing us in the wrong direction. And I mean, my point later is going to be the wake up call that Cuba should be giving everybody. But you can go ahead and read what you have to.
So let's finish off with the New York Times here. The second part of their tweet here again says, you know, the first part is shouting freedom. And it says hundreds of Cubans took to the streets to protest food and medicine shortages in a remarkable eruption of discontent. You know, this doesn't mention communism at all. It doesn't mention an oppressive regime. It kind of gives a little cover to the regime of Cuba. The only mention of it is that they're shouting freedom. You know, it's not critical whatsoever of the communist regime. And this is going to be a theme of a lot of the coverage from, you know, the left-wing media.
You know, they're missing a big question. Once again, this is exactly how we started this podcast. They're not asking why the people of Cuba are revolting. Yes. Okay. They're revolting because of vaccines? No. Okay, well, they're just revolting, and we're going to cover this stuff and not cover the actual reasons why.
Yep. Let's move on to the next tweet. It's going to be very eye-opening. This one is from someone who you're a big fan of, the Democratic Socialists of America Committee. I'm sure you're a big fan of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
So they commented on the situation, and they said that the Democratic Socialists of America stands with the Cuban people and their revolution in this moment of unrest. End the blockade. Sounds good. Sounds good. The DSA stands with the Cuban people and their revolution. Here's the thing. If anybody's familiar with communists and socialists and the way they work, this statement is not saying they are supporting the people in the streets protesting for freedom. They're saying the DSA stands with the Cuban people and their revolution. Their revolution stands for, in this statement, the Communist Revolution of Cuba. So their statement here, although you might read it and not realize it sounds like they're trying to support the people in the streets, no, it's supporting the Communist Revolution, the Red Revolution of the communist government. And it's just word play here by the Democratic Socialists of America. And you know who is a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America?
AOC?
Yes, ma'am. She is. So there you have it. Running.
My favorite part of all this is the amount of shit AOC and Bernie Sanders have been taking.
Bernie put out a tweet. He took a long time.
Oh, he did tweet finally?
He did. Let's see if I could bring it up here. But I'm not even going to bring it up here. But He did tweet, and he gave more support for the people on the ground instead of this, which is support for the communist revolution, which is not support on the people on the ground. But his point was also towards ending the blockade on Cuba, which is, I mean, if you want to bring up another point, I do want to get into the embargo and the blockade on Cuba because it's a main factor here in the whole.
You might as well go because I just want to yell at people about Cuba. So,
so if you're not familiar, for anybody's out there is not familiar, there's an embargo on Cuba basically since the Cold War, since the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, long time.
And it's, I think, 60 something years now, maybe even more. It's been out there. So a lot of the talk here has been
Closest,
around
maybe like 50 years.
Ending this embargo on Cuba and how that would make things better in Cuba. So I don't know. I read this at first and I was critical. I think I even posted it like, yeah, of course the Democratic Socialists want to end the embargo because that will help the government, it'll make people's lives better, make things get calm again for the Cuban government, and that'll help them out. They won't have, people won't be as poor or as hurting because the embargo has been lifted and the government will be able to maintain their control over. The other, argument side of this thing is if they remove the embargo, yeah, people's lives will get better. There'll be American investment, trade, etc., supplies, and their lives will get better. And that's good for the people there, right? Who are suffering. Another argument I've been hearing is, well, the fact that there is an embargo, the communist regime there just continues to use the embargo as an excuse and blame the United States for its lack of own leadership and society building and whatnot. So my question to you is, what do you think? Do you think this is a good idea to end the embargo, or should we kind of just fuck them, punish them until they, get rid of communism at the expense of the people there?
That is interesting because I haven't thought of it in that manner, because I would like to see the embargo end and then we could get, the people on the ground would have the potential for better business and to make more money. But then we would also be doing business with communists. And I guess that kind of doesn't work, in theory.
What's crazy? And just also in general, it's like their country is struggling because we won't do business with them.
Yeah.
For all the people who hate America, that's how good America is, baby. You don't do business with us, you're fucked.
Yeah. It's very interesting. But at the same time, though, you said at the expense of the people, governments get overthrown. I'm not saying that the people of Cuba should overthrow a government. I'm not, saying anybody should be. But if
they should be, I'm going to say, they should be overthrowing the Cuban government. Yeah. But they should be doing it, not us.
Yes.
Not us getting involved in their own.
Well, I mean, what do you think is going to really happen if there was potential to do it? That embargo is there in place for some corrupt reason, and you damn well know it.
Well, the embargo is in place from the Cold War, and
I understand that, but it's still there because there's some way to transfer some wealth or power through it.
I'm sure, but let me give you a little back history on the embargo itself, because this has actually changed recently in the past 10 years or so, somewhat. When Obama was president and when Trump was president. When Obama was president, I remember in 2012, he kind of loosened up some of the restrictions around the embargo on Cuba.
Yes.
And then when Trump came in,
start vacationing there.
Yeah. Yes. Things like that. And then when Trump came in, he kind of put the restrictions back and made them a little bit tougher. And now that Biden has took over, Biden has not changed anything. He's left it the way Trump left it. Although publicly he said he agreed with the way it was when Obama was a president. So paying lip service and leaving things the way Trump did it. The long story short, though, is that this embargo was actually was done by Congress, right? It's a law that, from back, Cold War era. In order to completely undo the embargo, that would require Congress doing something and agreeing on something. So I don't think this embargo is ever going to be undone, especially just in terms of Congress can't get anything done in general. And there's your Floridian Cuban politicians who don't want it undone. They want to punish the regime, so
yeah,
it's really
and also
up to
it gives
Congress
them the leg up to say, the Cuban politicians. It gives them the leg up to say, "Oh, look where I came from. I could represent this community. We have what we can't have over there." It's just, like if Sanders got Medicare for all, what's going to be what's going to be the next problem that he's going to need to solve so people keep giving him money?
It's always
it's just one of those,
right?
Yeah, it's just one of those problems that if it was fixed, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. So they can't complain about it anymore.
Yeah.
Just like Como's,
Fundraising
his 7 pillars of, stopping gun violence in the state of New York. And 2 of those pillars are making sure dangerous people don't get guns and getting guns off the street.
Right, the most generic statement you could possibly come up with.
Yeah. So that's why they're not going to ever get rid of the embargo. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a good Instagram page I found, actually, if anybody's interested in following kind of like information and stuff about Cuba. I want to give them a shout out. It's called Revolution Cuba. It's a woman, I believe, based in Canada, and she kind of like talks about stuff like this. She made a lot of good posts talking about the situation there, talking about the embargo, inflation. Inflation is through the roof in Cuba right now.
Shocking.
So,
where are we going, boys?
I was going to say, you want an image of what it's going to be like in the future here in America? Look at that.
Yeah.
So check that page out, definitely.
That's a good segue into my bit about Cuba. This needs to be an eye opener for everyone. I love Doom Nation. I love you guys. I love the support. I love, working with you guys. I love that you tune in. It's unfortunate that it's far and few people in Doom Nation that have the opposing views that we have. So, everybody that's listening to this right now is probably going to agree with me, but
shaking their heads. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But share this to, the guy that you don't talk to anymore from work because he thinks, Biden is the next, coming of Jesus Christ. This needs to wake people up. When this protest started, first off, okay, there was 2 types of protests in 2020. You had your BLM protests that literally you had news anchors in the streets with buildings on fire, and they literally were saying, it's mostly a peaceful protest. And BLM was cheered on, and your right to protest was stronger than ever. COVID couldn't even get involved in these protests.
Yeah, the only thing in New York City you were allowed to protest legally was for Black Lives Matter themed.
You could protest Black Lives Matter, but if you protest the lockdowns, it was a health risk.
It was literally illegal in New York City.
Yes. And then you have January 6th, which we have our, conspiracies about, but this was brought to you as the worst thing to happen to America since Civil War. So you had a left-wing protest and you had a right-wing protest. When people from the left see what happened to the people on January 6th, they cheer because, these are the guys on the other team. These are the people who voted for Trump. F them. In Cuba, it doesn't matter what side you're on. You're not allowed to protest. They're sending military people there to violently break up these protests. You're cheering for one thing now because it's not on your team. Once the other team is gone, they're coming for your team. When these protests broke out, the Cuban government shut down the internet. Everybody's all happy that Trump got banned from Twitter because their weak little ears couldn't take his mean tweets, and they all cheered. But I've been saying this from the start. Yeah, it's fun and games now when Trump gets banned, but eventually it's somebody you like's going to be banned. Eventually you are going to get censored. Eventually you're not going to be progressive and left-wing enough for Twitter and Facebook not to censor you. Eventually they're going to cross a line that you don't believe in. Now no one in Cuba has the internet. There's no Twitter. There's no opinion. They shut off the entire internet. That affects everyone. It didn't matter what party they are. There isn't a party in Cuba, but if that was to happen here, which it very well could, Twitter censored an entire New York Post story about Hunter Biden. They can censor anything. Obviously, Facebook and YouTube doesn't care what they censor. They're going to go with the agenda. The Biden administration just announced that they're interested in working with SMS text providers. They want to work with Sprint and Verizon and T-Mobile and AT&T to read your private text messages to make sure nobody's spreading medical misinformation about the vaccine. This is a huge overstep, but it's a two-party system. There are still people who are going to be please read my text messages. I don't care. I feel better that you could. The people of Cuba don't have that option. This is where we're heading. Everybody who is in favor of all these wild overreaches of the government, all these people who are so progressive that we're going back to segregation, it's only a matter of time before it happens to you. This is the road communism leads to. There's not going to be fine. We're going to get rid of a two-party system, but eventually the party you're on is going to get got by communism.
Right.
And then you're going to suffer just like the rest of us.
Yeah. What's going to happen? They're going to use progressives that are cheering all this stuff on to their advantage. And, once they've eliminated the other party and they've eliminated the other side, well, now they're going to force, the corporate elitism, down your throat. And if you got, how dare you speak out against that? If you're a progressive and you're a Bernie person, you want Medicare for all, well, you'll be next. They'll remove you because they'll say that's threatening violence. Yeah. Or they'll pull some sort of stunt where people out of Medicare for all, demonstration or protest got violent, and they go, well, now we got to ban all things about that topic, right? Yeah. Because people that follow that topic, they get, violent and stuff like that. It's never, me and you spoke about this, I think in the car or something. We were like, it started with Alex Jones and then Milo Yiannopoulos, and people thought, it's not going to get worse. Those two guys are crazy. Those two guys are assholes. And it has. It doesn't go backwards. It's not like the government, once they get power, or big tech, whoever, because big tech and the government, let's be honest, they're the same thing at this point. Yeah. They're working together. There's literally proof now. They don't give up their powers for no reason. Things don't get better. They only get worse. The only way we're going to stop any of this shit is by literally, there has to be a massive, unity of everybody pushing back against this and doing something about it, electing the right people, putting them in charge, those people following through. Boy, it's a hell of a mountain to climb to even stop this, but go ahead.
I'll always use this analogy. You get 11 boxes. The middle is moderate. The one on the furthest left is the far left. The one on the furthest right is the far right. Okay, well, the far right did January 6th. We got to cancel them. Now, box number 10 is the far right. Nope, can't have them. There will be a day and time where the moderate people will be the far right. And then there will be a day and time when box number
1 on the left, right?
Eventually, the blue dog Democrats, the moderate, the left-leaning moderates, who are only 2-3 boxes from the middle, are going to be the far right. What comes around goes around. You will eventually be the enemy of the state. There is no ending this until everybody's under control. You will help usher in your own demise. That's my biggest argument with gun control laws. These people who are in favor of more gun control know nothing about guns, know nothing about the responsibility that guns bring on, know nothing about the fact that once the Second Amendment is gone, there's nothing left to protect us. You're gonna usher in your own demise. You're gonna promote your own demise.
Yeah, and you could just look at every situation of authoritarianism or dictatorship around the globe. One of the first things they do is try and remove the guns, because as simple as you can make it, as simple as it might sound, guns are just leverage from, for you against your government, in terms of tyranny. There's actually a new Netflix series about the rise and fall of authoritarians.
Yes, how to be a dictator or a tyrant.
Yes, I watched the first episode yesterday. It was about Hitler and whatnot. It's very good, very well done.
Is the season finale about Joe Biden?
Might be. No, I'm sure it's going to be about Trump, though. 100%. It's going to be the whole moral of the story is,
we're gonna have a good, we're gonna have a good episode about how the Nazis are back, to say the least.
Yeah. So, real quick, final point for me, at least on Cuba. I do think maybe we should end the embargo. although it's never going to happen because Congress would have to do something. I think, first of all, the people are living real shitty lives. So that sucks, right? I think ending the embargo will make them more prosperous, maybe make them, have a little bit better access to education, technology, things like that. And hopefully, with a little light at the end of the tunnel, people will realize the errors of their ways in terms of communism, and things will get better. I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer, but whatever's working, whatever's going on now ain't working. The protest seems to be over. One thing I do want to say, though, however, is we can't get involved, right? The mayor, I think, of Miami was saying we need to go and bomb them and send troops over there. I mean, these southern, Floridian Cubans, man, they want war. They hate Castro and the regime that much. They want the military to go over there and start, kicking in dicks. No, I don't want us involved in stuff like that whatsoever. I wish the best to the people there, and I hope they could overthrow their tyrannical, oppressive government. And I think we should maybe get rid of the embargo, but the rest is on you guys. It's your country. You determine your own destiny. We're not sending any of our soldiers or meddling in your affairs.
Yeah. No, our soldiers don't need to meddle, but the CIA will do plenty of meddling, so don't worry about that.
I'm sure they already are.
Yeah. I don't really have any final comments for this to the people of Cuba because kind of
hear it anyway, bro.
Yeah. They don't have any internet. My final comments is people need to take this as a warning. These socialist ideas that everybody loves to jump on, these Marxist ideologies that everyone stands behind, to all the people who are supporting the need for critical race theory, the leaders of BLM.
Yeah, now we're branding critical race theory as a white nationalist thing. All the parents are white nationalists. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The acceptance of that everything is racist now, and a lot of people aren't accepting it, but there are some.
No, there's a lot.
There's
a lot of people that are accepting it.
Yeah, but he'd look at Cuba. The things you want, this could be your future. You know what I mean? For everybody who wants to give up more freedom for more safety, people in Cuba aren't enjoying all the safety that they have right now.
Let me put it this way. There's a reason why those Cubans in Florida want to bomb their own island. Yeah. There's a reason. That's how angry they are. That's how much they hate that sort of lifestyle. And that's why, honestly, like a lot of them voted for Trump because they just whatever at all costs oppose. Yeah, that sort of lifestyle. But you make a great point. Yeah, this is what it looks like. This is what a future of the way things are going right now. Why we say we're doomed is because this is incremental. Socialism leads to communism. Yeah, communism is eventually leads to a completely full blown totalitarian government that controls every aspect of your life and wants to dictate everything for you. It never stops. It never has. We won the Cold War. The threat has still not gone away, unfortunately. Yeah. And I told you, I'm optimistic because we beat it once. I think we could beat it again, just because in the end, I always feel like good ideas will always win out. But just how many people are going to die in the process? Hopefully not that many.
We're in easy times, so now we need easy times make soft men. Soft men make hard times. We're getting to the hard times from all the soft men, and we're going to need strong men to make easy times again.
Yeah,
so
sounds like
that's the precipice.
The fourth turning, I believe.
Yeah, that's the precipice that we're eventually leading to. Yeah, people need to wake up. It's so funny that we have Olympic athletes who are snubbing the flag, and we have congresswomen saying how, and huge billion-dollar organizations saying how the American flag is so racist. But the second another country or another nation wants to be free and wants to be liberated, they got the red, white, and blues, the stars and stripes. History is going to show who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think so. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
We might not be here to see it, but we'll go to the grave knowing who was right.
Exactly. All right. That was pretty good.
All right. Yes, Doom Nation, thank you once again. I'm so happy I don't have to do my whole little spiel about where you can find us, because we've upgraded
Yeah.
a little bit and put that at the beginning of the podcast. So you already heard it.
Yeah, we made
Not waiting
pre-rolls.
for the end anymore.
I made pre-rolls so that the captain doesn't have to worry about messing up his whole sales pitch here.
You know, a few drinks in, a few smokes in, you never know what you're going to get out of it. So, Doom Nation, thank you guys. Be on the lookout for F-Bomb Friday and the GoFundMe page. We're going to be talking about this more. We're going to be advertising it more. It's something we're definitely interested in. We love working with our family over at 990 WBOB. Doom Nation, thank you for joining us for another episode. Skaggs?
Yep. Any one random thing I'll point out is keep an eye out for our Loki reviews. We will be doing that tomorrow as Loki comes out tomorrow. And I'll be working on a Black Widow review at some point in the coming week. So keep an eye out.
Sorry, Doom Nation. You know, life takes over. These reviews, you know, that you got to knock out 2-3 a week are not too possible on my schedule. But I will be there, and I will always be there for a good old beer review. And we might even be reviewing some new guns. That's one of our most sought after episodes of the reviews. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we got that. We got something in the works. Stay tuned.
Peace out, Doom Nation.